Okay, so we're going to be talking about this classwork problem about the distance between flights from Atlanta to different cities and their price, or fare, F-A-R-E. So I'd like to go through the linear modeling process that we did last week, so you can get a refresher. It's been about 4 days. So we are going to be transferring between a lot of stuff, right, between our Nspire as well as your paper. So please have something to write with, ready to take notes as we go. So what's the first thing I want to do when I'm looking at my data? The first thing I want to do when I look at my data. Well, after I type it in, thank you for that. Well, what's the first thing I want to do? Do the scatter plot. Before I make a scatter plot, what should I decide?
What's your X?
What's your X and what's your Y? What's your explanatory and what's your response? So do you think that the distance from Atlanta to these cities explains how much it would cost to go there? Or do you think, how much it costs explains how far away the cities are? For number one, yes, Marcelo.
Why is it a period after each number?
Is it a decimal?
Yeah.
Is it not on yours? Okay. All right then, so we're going to go doc, insert, data and statistics, and we are saying that distance explains the price. So distance is my explanatory on the x-axis, and fare or price is on the y-axis. And we have made a scatter plot. Yes, very nice, good job. Now, the moment I see this, what goes off in my brain that I should be writing about?
Direction, form, strength.
Love it. Very good. All right. Woo! Right? Suzette for the win. All right. So, if you made it, Suzette, you're up. Subscribe. So, let's see where we can write that here. It's nowhere. But there's some space above up here. You guys see a little space up here? Let's write it there. So how would you describe this scatter plot? There is a positive. I do form next. So this is linear, not linear curved. Linear. I'm hearing weak. I'm hearing strong. Wow, that's very different. Moderate is the middle of the two. You know what we're going to do. You pick what word you want. Strong, moderate, or weak. And then when we calculate the calculation coefficient, that'll help you decide which one you want to go with. Okay? So like if you're saying strong, or you're saying weak, you're saying moderate, but then R is something that doesn't jive, we should change our word. Okay? Great. Make sure you put it into context. All right? I will take off points if you don't put it into context. And by that I mean there is a positive, linear, moderate association between the distance and price of a flight. So context means something about the variables. Any questions on this? We've been doing this for a while now. Yes? Marcel?
Distance and price.
Okay, I mean, personally, my personal preference is to go X, then Y, because X explains Y, but you won't get counted off if you mix the order. Okay? All right. Now, before we do anything with correlation or with our linear regression model, we need to check some things. Do you remember what we need to check? The three things. Outliers. Stop it. Outliers. Do we see any potential? Are we worried about any potential outliers? Which one? A little bit. Which one? Can you use your words, Myra? Like when I tell my son, which one? That one! That's not helpful. The one by this one here. So this one, what are you expecting? What did you expect it to be if the distance is over 600 miles? A little bit more expensive? So maybe there's something going on with this one, okay? Any other one that you're worried about? Roberto? Oh, moving on to a new condition. My fault. Yes. Quantitative. Are these quantitative variables? Yes, they both have units, miles, and dollars. All right. That was the next one. And then the other one is,
linear.
Did we say linear? We did. So we're going to continue, but yes, we'll make note of any unusual things, Myra, potentially that outlier. Yes.
Well, you pointed out that for the weak determinant weak, moderate, or linear,
Yeah.
strong type,
Mm-hmm.
to see the correlation. In the graph, it says the correlation is points.
Well, you're cheating, Luis. I mean, I understand a lot of this is already there. I'm not going in order. Just showing you the process. Yes, he's already seen it. But let's find it anyway. Doc, insert, calculator, because you're going to have to do this by scratch,
Okay.
like from scratch, by hand, with this calculator on Thursday.
No.
Yes. Doc, insert, calculator. Doc, insert, calculator. Menu. Statistics. Stack calculations. And which linear regression? A plus bx, number 4. A plus bx, number 4. We said, oop, that did mean median line, might be. Let's try again. Statistics, stack calculations. Yep, there we go. Our explanatory is distance, and our response, or our y, is fair or price. And then make note, we're finally going to use it today, make note of this regression equation. Mine says F1, so if yours says something different, make sure you make note of that, because we'll use it later. Tab all the way down, so hit OK. All right, so what Luis pointed out to us is that the correlation coefficient was already on the paper, but now we have it. We've calculated 0.694. So that means those of you said strong, it's not strong. Those of you said weak, it's not weak. It is moderate. 0.694 is moderate. Is it a big deal? No. Just change your word, cross it out, right? Moderate. All right? Now, we have a regression equation to write down. Let's write it down. Let's write it down. See where it says number 5? Okay, number 5. Thanks. Number 5 is where we're going to write it down. What am I going to write down first? No y. I'm always going to use words. There we go. Mine technically is fair, but price hat is fine. But I do appreciate the hat. Thank you. Fair or price hat, whatever you've gone with, equals. Now this is where I'm going to put my Y-intercept. What is the Y-intercept? Look at your calculator. The Y-intercept, it's A, 177 points. It's money, so I'm going to round it to 22. Okay. Now we said it was positive, so I'm going to write plus. What is the slope? That's letter B, is the slope. 0.078 times distance. Very good. All right. Any questions on that? Please ask, because you're going to have to do this on Thursday by yourself. So please ask if you're confused about anything. We haven't even finished those. We've done number 5. We're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it right now.
Can you give us the equation?
Like you want to have y hat equals a plus bx. That's what you want? No. There it is. But for the quiz? Oh, for right now. Yeah, you got it right here, man. I got you. But for the quiz, no. Do it yourself. Okay. Now, let's peek up to 3 and 4. You guys see 3 and 4, we already have these. What is the slope? Nope, the slope. 0.078. Remember, if worst comes to worst, and you're like, man, I do not remember, think back to algebra. Slope is always next to what letter? X. And even though it doesn't say X, this variable is X. So think whatever's next to that X is the slope. What's the Y-intercept? 0.22. Very good. You're good. Now, we're about to do a lot of stuff with this model. And before we go too far down that road with this model, we want to make sure that we're okay to use it. Now, I mentioned this last week. How do we check to make sure that this model that I just wrote down is appropriate to use? How do I check to make sure? Say it again. Ooh, the error. What word do we talk about means the error? What's left over? The residuals. Very good. Yes, we all knew that. Excellent. So let's find the residuals. Let's go back to the calculator. Doc. Insert. Data and statistics. We're going to do another scatter plot. Use the same explanatory. Okay, what was our explanatory variable? Distance. So the same explanatory is distance. You already noticed as I went to type or pick that one, there was other stuff in there. Why is there other stuff in there? Because you've told the computer to run a linear regression model. So it's got all this stuff in it now. Okay, so for the response, instead of picking fair, which is what we picked before, we're going to pick stat.residual, R-E-S-I-D. Okay, that means stat. That's your residuals. Yes. Always. I'm always going to do the same X with the residuals and the Y. Good question, Nadia.
What happens if we change it?
What do you mean?
We change from distance to fair.
It'll just be a different thing you're looking at. I always want to look at, because we're always looking at your X is explaining Y right now. If you do the other way, you'd be saying Y is explaining X. It'd be a completely different model. Okay? All right, so what do we think when we look at this? What am I looking for? Does anybody remember what I'm looking for in the residuals?
To be in the stream. To be on the
I'm looking for nothing.
What?
Right? I know. I'm looking in the residuals and hoping that I see nothing. And by nothing, I mean no pattern, no curve. I'm just looking for a cloud. What do you guys think? Yeah, like we have more X values that are between 200 miles and 1,000 miles. That makes sense. Atlanta is close to a lot of cities, but far away from like the West Coast. That makes sense. So when I look at this, if I see no pattern, what can I say about our model? That it's appropriate to use it. Okay? So this is a big step that everyone needs to make sure they do on Thursday. After you run your model, check to see if it's appropriate by looking at the residuals plot. If this shows no pattern, you're all good. You keep going. If there's a pattern, not good. Can't use it. Not appropriate. Great question.
It's again based on how you perceive
It is, again, based on how you and your brain perceives it. So it's up to you, Marcelo. But again, as I've said in this class, you can have something different than me as long as you don't contradict yourself. Okay? So if you're writing in something different, I'm going to read it all. But the moment you mess up based on what you're writing, then it becomes a problem. Okay? Roberto, question?
Yeah, what are you writing?
Oh, great question. We want to write it somewhere? We can write it somewhere. Let's write it. Flip it over. There we go. Look at that. Look at all that stuff. Bless you. Do you see number one? Is the linear model appropriate for estimating airfare from distance flown? And we're going to say yes. I guess I can write it in for you. Yes. Come on, pen.
Wait, so why does it ask us a bunch of questions like this before?
Exactly. The order is not perfect, but I just wanted to get it all on there. Yes, because the residuals plot shows no pattern. I'm looking for something like that on Thursday. You must check the residuals, always. And we're going to bounce around back and forth between this side and the other side. So let's go back after you write this down. Back to the front side. Everybody good about the residuals? All right, cool. And we'll do one, Marcelo, whether it's we do it or I show you one where you'll see a pattern. Okay? And that's really what chapter 9 and 10 are all about. What happens when things go wrong? what can you do? All right? You know what I'm saying. They're always wrong. Just sometimes they're useful. All right. Let's see. Let's do 9 and 10 right now. Let's do 9 and 10. Explain what our stuff means. Now, you already wrote down your slope and your y-intercept. Do you guys know what either of them mean? In context. Yes, Eduardo. What do you got?
Y-intercept would mean that if you have a distance of 0, you were thinking of cross.
That is exactly right. That's for number 9. So y-intercept is distance. So your flight is 0 miles. So are you leaving? No. And how much does it cost?
177.10.
Now, how in the world does that make any sense? You're telling me I got to pay you almost $200 to go nowhere? What?
Those are like the fees.
Oh, what do you mean by fees?
It's like whenever you like book a plane, like you need to pay for like fees or like gas.
Oh, gas, right? They got to pay for gas, so you are helping to pay for that gas. What else are you helping to pay for?
Maintenance.
The maintenance. Say it again. The employees, they got to get paid. You got to pay them. You're paying them. What else? You guys get snacks when you're on the airplane? Drinks?
That's additional.
Not always. Southwest, what up?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Hashtag Southwest. Contact me. We work on a promo. Yeah, sponsorship. That's what I need. Free flights.
All the wheels on the
The wheels on the plane, right? The parts of the plane, absolutely. Sometimes the airlines will own those planes. Other times they'll be rented. So it depends on the airline. Luggage. You got to pay for where to put the luggage. You got the employees. Got to pay them. What about the people that work at the airport? You know, the people that don't get on the plane, that just check your boarding pass when you get on?
Why do we have to pay them?
Not TSA, but like the South, all these airlines have people that work the actual gates, and they say, hey, have a good flight. They don't get on the plane. They still got to get paid. Yeah, they're employees of the airline. They wear the shirt. The one, I'm talking about the person when you like go to the gate and be like, show your boarding pass, and then you get on. They don't get on the plane
Do they
with you.
get paid for that?
Yeah, they're working.
I know, but like,
What the heck?
So like they get paid for just doing that?
Well, yeah, that's their job.
I'm in the wrong job.
You don't even have
I'm in.
Dude, you're in school. All right. Anyway, let's move to the slope. What does the slope mean? This one always kind of trips people up. What was the slope, Eduardo? What was the slope? 0.078? What does that mean? Do you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, so whenever your distance increases by 1, your price would increase by 1.7 cents.
By 8 cents if we're rounding, right? Now, that is right. Every additional mile that you fly, you can expect the price of your ticket to go up 8 cents. Now, that's pretty small. I mean, 8 cents, I mean, come on. I can't even find 8 cents in my car. Okay, so what I usually do, this is my personal preference, I like to move the decimal over. So I move it over 2 places, and I say for every additional, and again, this is my preference, 100 miles. So instead of 8 cents, what if I move that over 2 places?
$78.
It's going to be what? $8. Okay? So for every additional 100 miles, you can expect your price to go up $8. Right? Here, I'll show you what I mean. So here's the 8 cents. If you multiply it by 100, what happens when you multiply by 100? You move it over 2 places. So now the decimal's there. So it goes up $8.
Wait,
Yes.
so that means that the 0 miles is just like the base fare?
So 0 miles, that's your y-intercept. You're saying before you even go anywhere, well, I don't want to say base fare. I would say these are the costs that the airline is charging you that have nothing to do with you actually getting on the plane.
The hidden fees.
They're not hidden. We know them. We just said them. Right? People will say they're hidden. No, you know they got to pay for gas. Right? They're not asking you for money when you get on. Hey, give me $10 for gas. Right? Right? It's not like you're 17 again. You're like, yeah, I'll take you home, but you got to give me gas money. It's my joke, George, but can you explain it? Okay. Let's do 6 and 7. Let's do 6 and 7. Now we're going to use the calculator here. Estimate the price of a 200-mile flight. Do you remember what the computer saved your equation into? F1. That was mine at least. So watch this. I'm going to blow your mind. You ready? So go back to your calculator page. All right, you got your calculator page, calculator tab. Type in the letter F1, comma, 200. I don't know why I said comma. I'm sorry. Parenthesis. My bad. F1, parenthesis. Sorry for confusing you. Sorry, those who are listening at home. Sorry. F1, parenthesis, 200. Close it. Parentheses next to the 0. Hit enter. So it plugs it in for you. So that means if you're telling me that you want to buy a ticket for a 200-mile flight, how much do I expect the ticket to cost you? $192.94. All right. Will that be what it actually costs?
No.
Probably not. It could be. Probably not. All right. That difference between what it actually costs and what we expect it to cost is called the residual. Bless you. It's called the residual. All right. And your computer, when we made the scatter plot, is putting on a line. Put on this line to minimize those residuals. So it's trying to find this best line that minimizes the distance between all those points and that line. Yeah.
Are we going to know how to put the line?
No. Definitely not. I'm just trying to show your brain what it's doing. All right, so here's our 200. We said it's going to be 192.94 or something like that, right? That's right on this line. If you tell me it actually costs 260, then that distance between is the residual. That's the error amount. Yes.
So what's your F1?
F1 is the model. That's our 177.22 plus 0.078 times distance. It's your model. So let's do the same thing for 2000. You want to do the same thing for 2000? F1 of 2000. So we are expecting a 2,000-mile flight, which is much farther than 200, to cost $334.45. Notice the words that I'm using, the vocab, I'm saying we expected. All right? Is it likely that the cost of this will be exactly this number? No, but that's okay. That doesn't mean our model is wrong. It can still be useful. All right? Any questions on those two? Everybody feel okay? All right, I want to do one more thing on the recording, then we'll stop and we'll keep going so I can give it time to actually finish. Okay. I want to do 1 and 2, r squared. Now, we actually have r squared in the calculator in our calculations page. You guys see it's right above r. What is r squared? I'm always going to write it as a percentage. So 48.2%. Okay?
Is that optional or is that?
It's not wrong if you put it as a decimal. I'm trying to tell your brain, I want you to write it as a percentage, because the closer that percentage is to 100, the better this model is. Okay? So that's not even, it's about 50, right? If I see 90, I'm like, oh, okay, now you've got my attention. But 50 means there's a lot of other things out there that determine the price of a flight, besides just how far it is. What do you think out there could determine the price of a flight that's not about the distance? Let's go with George.
The different airlines.
Okay, well, we're talking about all the same airline. Just assume it's all the same airline. But yes, different airlines have different prices. Luis?
First class, second class.
Okay, assume we're talking about the same ticket. The same ticket.
Different, right?
Tanya?
The day you buy it.
Ooh, the day you buy it? Or, okay, so what do you mean by the day you buy it? Hold on.
Like sometimes when you buy it, it's like when it's
Gotcha, the closer you get to the date, it's more expensive. Okay. Yeah, Nani?
holidays.
Ooh, holidays are more expensive. Okay. Yeah.
A lot of people like
Okay, so how many people have booked it already? All right. Roberto?
State tax jurisdiction?
Say it again?
State tax.
State taxes? Okay. I'm curious how that works. Like, if you're talking about we live in Texas.
That is a different tax.
Oh, all right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Popularity in the city.
See, that's another big one, right? How popular the destination is, right? You guys are in econ. Some of you are, right? Econ, supply and demand. If people want to go there, what are they going to do the price?
I
Margo?
don't know, like maybe connecting flights.
Ooh, connecting flights. Okay. That could cause a change in the price.
Do one way.
As opposed to like connecting, getting off the plane. Okay. Anything else you can think of?
If it's on the weekend.
Yes, the cheapest day of the week to fly?
Thursday.
No, it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Nobody likes to travel on Wednesday. It's the middle of the week.
I was trying to travel.
No,
Anyway,
it's like-
let's write this sentence for number 2. 48.2% of the variability in price can be explained by the distance. Okay, so what we're trying to say here is that you're changing your distance, so how far the city is. Obviously, we all know the farther away, we think, it should cost more. That makes sense. But that's not the only thing driving this. There are other things out there, which is why this is not 99%. All right? There's other stuff out there that helps figure out the cost of a flight. All right? Any questions? All right, I'm going to stop the recording, but we're going to continue.